nothing wrong with it intrinsically, but wouldn't it be more advantageous to find out what the UBP was, which is the unique buying point? So what do your customers in Ghana, which is a unique market, I'm an international mobile, because there are no mobile phone manufacturers in Ghana, so I'm an international mobile phone manufacturer. I've done market research in Germany, Australia, America, US. I come to Ghana with my preconceptions. I may get it right, I may not. If I get it wrong, it costs me a lot. So if I go to marketing, what's unique about Ghanaians? What do they want? What do they like? What's their issues? What colors? What shapes? So I find out what they want to buy. Then again, technology allows me to manufacture very, very quickly, very, very accurately what they want.
And then that becomes my unique selling proposition. I mean, the information the information I gather from the UBPs, as in some people call it pre-market survey or whatever you want to call it, get information about what is really needed. Assuming you want to enter a fast food business, then you ask questions about what the current fast food providers are not providing. Now, that's your UBP. That's what people want. And then you transform that into your USP.
That makes sense to me. I like that, Bernard. I like that chapter in my next book.
I'm giving the lecture now. We have 20 minutes to go, and we're still talking to Don Smith. He is the director of Mindstar, UK-based company that I can say he's come up with novel ideas about business communication, and I'm trying to make sense of some of the things he says. I don't understand everything he's saying, but I'm trying to keep it in. Okay, so what are some of the things you've done? I know you can't mention specific projects you've done, but what are some of the things you've done for organizations, maybe in the UK or wherever you've worked? What problems did you face, and how did you use your paradigm, your AP, your accelerated people development, or your mind style instead of mindset approach to deal with these issues?
Well, one of the key areas we work in is with leadership, because we believe that this stuff, as unusual it is, won't work unless it comes from the top down. And we've worked with organizations where the leaders have been uncomfortable with their messages being received in a different way to how they meant, or they're angry or upset that they're spending a lot of money on their training budget and not getting the results they want. So we like to move into an organization from the leadership point of view. I think I worked with an organization where I worked with the chief exec for 3 or 4 days and found out what his exact goal, vision, mission statement, so what was the flavor of his, and I got him to find a personal story in his life that captured that. So it wasn't technical, it was an emotional connection to his message, and the message they wanted was to talk about change. And he shared a story with myself and later with his organization about his daughter leaving home. I won't share that in detail, but it was very personal. So when we came to deliver the process, he started with that story, connected to people about how change can be quite traumatic. I then worked with the management team to develop that into a series of exercises and programs for the staff. And we ended up with a 1-day motivational seminar designed by the organization with my facilitation and delivered by the senior manager of that organization to everybody. It was a fantastic day, and it got the message that the CEO wanted delivered in maybe 2 or 3 months, as opposed to spending a year trying to put out leaflets. And everybody knew it came from him, because on the day he opened the seminar, the session, with this story delivered to everybody, and it was incredibly moving.
Okay, Ghana again. Lots of organizations are localized. Now somebody wants to become global, or an organization wants to go international. There are cross-cultural issues to deal with. I mean, so that you can be fluent in various countries and yet maintain maybe your USP, if I can use that. Now, what kind of advice, what kind of consideration, and how do you deal with cross-cultural issues? This is a Ghanaian mobile phone company, decides that it's going to Nigeria, Togo, and then it would even go to North Africa and South Africa. What are some of the issues that arise, and how do you deal with them?
The key thing with cross-culture is that traditionally we've looked at the differences, and people have said if you go to Asia, red is a warm, loving color, whereas in the West, in UK and Europe and America, red is a violent color. And I think it's HSBC that has led the Think Local, Act Global policy. Absolutely. So people have focused on differences. I think as the global market for music, for dress, all things shows there are a tremendous amount of similarities among people. So I think one of the things to do in any cross-cultural campaign is to get your team together, get your group together, and find out what the similarities are first. And working for what we share in common, we can then work outwards. I give an example with diversity that if you're going into a dangerous situation and you need to have as much knowledge as you can, you'd be foolish to find a team that all thought and knew what you knew, because you've wasted yourself. You'd actually look for people who have different skills, different attributes. So the more dangerous things are, the more willing we are to have a diverse team. When things are safe and we know what's going on, we don't mind because we're quite comfortable, we know all the issues. Well, the commercial world we live in as we go global is very dangerous. It's very fast moving and fast changing, so you need a diverse team. So to make a diverse team work together, find out what the similarities are that you can bond with, but then find out what the diversities are so you know who needs to act when.
What kind of advice do you give when somebody is buying a brand? Or, assuming I had a mobile phone company that I wanted to buy out, and there's a backlog or there are things that have to do with the brand already. What kind of questions do I ask myself before I go in for that brand?
A brand has been defined as a psychological commitment between a producer and their market. Coca-Cola has a brand of safety and consistency. They made a huge mistake when they brought out new Coca-Cola, and they tried to actually change what people loved about them, which is the fact that they were the shape of the bottle, the colour taste. They loved that solidity. Virgin in the UK has a brand promise of being high quality while being innovative. If you're going out to buy a brand to augment your organization, you must make sure that you don't break that promise. So if your promise has been that you are fast, reliable and efficient, and then you buy a brand that is cheap, low budget, and you break the promise you've made, you've actually thrown away the other brand. So I would say the number one thing is to recognize what your brand promises and make sure that anybody you buy into or in fact do joint ventures with shares that, so the market doesn't become confused. The market doesn't treat well people who suddenly change what they promised to be.
Can you reconstruct a damaged brand?
Well, Coca-Cola recovered, but that was a very damaged brand. Another damaged brand, if I think of one, was I think it was BA when they tried to get into the cut price war as well. So I think it was it wasn't BMI Baby, but BMI Baby was British Midlands. No. But there was an airline, so BA, its brand promise was it was the giant, it was the safe one, it was right. It was a bit expensive, but you bought a BA ticket because you wanted to make sure you got there.
We are bigger and better.
So then suddenly they decided to go in to compete with, I don't know if you know these names, but Ryanair and EasyJet.
These charter flights.
The charter flights. And suddenly people were thinking, well, BA is not supposed to do that. And the share price dropped. So now they've retrenched, and they still have low-cost budgets, but they bring it under the umbrella of BA. And so that's a brand that was damaged but recovered.
I see. Now, but is MindStyle an HR consulting firm or a PR consulting firm? How do you characterize yourself?
We characterize ourselves as a training company, education and development. We work with human resources because we think the future is in the human technology, not in the mechanical technology. There are two types of technology that can be leapfrogged. Everybody's aware that Ghana is getting the latest technology. You haven't got to go through that cycle of development and recreating the wheel when it comes to mechanical and machine and that kind of technology. But people forget there have been advances in human technology, in training styles, in things called neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, psychology. There's a lot of human advancements taking place, and that is something that can also be leapfrogged. So MindStyle likes to think of itself as using the latest technologies and techniques about human development and applying those to give companies an advantage.
I get the impression you're saying that what really differentiates two companies is not really distribution or price, but it's really the people.
100%, Bernard. And it's always been that way. But you could have had a few good people in the past, but organizations are flatter, leaner. The difference between the CEO and the guy who cleans is much smaller. So it means if everybody isn't high caliber, your product and your company will suffer. The people are the integral part in the organizational machine.
But in places where there's an infrastructure